Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I am doing a video for the Foiling Snobs Club and the exclusive kitchen sink stamps freebie just for us. So assuming you've already downloaded your file, and I keep mine on my desktop, you're going to want to convert a file. So I go to Convertio, and there's the website. And what you can do is you can convert any file into any other file pretty much. As long as it's under 100 megabytes, it's free. So I'm going to convert a file here, and I'm going to choose File, and I'm going to grab the PDF file of the words, and I'm going to convert it to a PNG. And just click the Convert button. Once it's done, you click the Download button. And it'll download the PNG file for you. Because you're going to want to import these things into your Cricut Design Space. And by the way, you do need Cricut Design Space and a Cricut machine, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Upload Image. And I'm going to browse for the image. And I know that it's in my downloads folder, not my iCloud drive, a different downloads folder directly on my computer, because that's where my downloads automatically go. And I'm going to select the file, and I'm going to go ahead and choose Complex and Continue, Accept and Continue, because it's already got a clear background, and I want it to be a print then cut file, and click Upload. Okay, there's my first image. Now we want to get the little shapes images. So I'm going to browse for the file on my desktop. There's the folder, and I'm going to grab the shadow cut, or I'm going to grab the outer layer cut file. And I need it to be a cut image, which there's no choice. I'm going to choose Upload. And then I'm going to go ahead and choose the other cut file. There's also a tags cut file, which you can bring in if you want to. Right now, I'm just focused on these words that you can foil. Notice I said you can foil. Upload. Okay, we've got our images. Now I'm going to add this to my canvas. And it is an attached image, okay? It's just one big image, and you can see over to the right, there's a little caution sign which says it's too big. We need to manipulate this image, and I want to separate out the words here. So I'm just going to shrink it here for a minute. We'll resize it later. I'm going to pull it out of my way. I'm going to grab a shape, which is going to be a rectangle. I'm going to change the color of the rectangle just because I don't like that gray-black color. Let's go with a blue, okay? And it really does not matter at all. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger than half of that file, okay? I'm going to scoot it over to make sure all my words are included. I'm going to select all by dragging, and I'm going to hit slice. And what that's going to do is it's going to separate these two rows, right? So I can delete that row, don't need it anymore. I can delete this one, don't need it anymore. I can delete this, made itself a cut file. I want to keep the nice neat file. I'm going to delete that cut file. Now I've got these. Now I need to cut these apart. So I'm going to make a square, and then I'm going to duplicate it twice because the fourth one will automatically cut. And I'm just going to cover one of those words and drag across my screen to select both. And I'm going to click Slice and move that out of the way and move that out of the way. Move this out of my way and delete those. And I just drag. You can select them in the selection bar, but I just do it that way. So move these out of the way. But that's the one I want to keep. Get it out of the way. I'm going to move this over here, and I don't really need to move it, but I don't want to accidentally select something I'm not ready to select. So I'm going to do the last one. Same thing. Select them both. Slice. Move this out of my way. That's my good copy. That's a cut copy I don't want. And I'm going to delete. And the reason I don't want them is they'll be too small. So now I've got all my greetings and they're all separate, and I can duplicate them as much as I want, and I'm going to size these to 2 inches. So I'm just going to go in the width column and click 2 and click enter. Now you could size these any size you want, but 2 is a good size, especially if you're going to foil it. You could, I mean, you could obviously go smaller, and I'd have to defer to Nancy for that because I don't, not yet anyway. I will, give me time. So now I want to go back to my upload folders, and I'm going to grab the next file, and I'm going to click add to canvas, and it's going to bring this over, and they're going to be really small. Now these are grouped up for you, so I'm just going to ungroup them, and I'm going to select one side of it and just delete that side. I don't need all of those right now. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to size these to 2.1 and click enter. And I'm going to change the color to white because this is your first outline layer. These are the ones that we later need to attach to each other. And I'll just move this, use the arrange button and send that to the front so they're stacked evenly. I'll select both of them, click align, and click center. And then I'll go ahead and group those so I can move them around together without losing my alignment. And pretty much repeat the process with each one. So size it to 2.1. Then arrange it. I'm going to send it to the back because I'm going to put the greeting on top of it. I'm going to change the color to white. I'm going to move it to close to the greeting it needs to go with. Then I'm going to select them both, align, and center. Okay, group those together, and here comes the next one. Size that. I'm going to send it to the back first. It doesn't matter which order you do these in, honestly. 2.1. You just want your greeting on top of the white, the first layer. So because later you're going to attach and flatten them so that they print out properly. I'm going to go ahead and group those, get them aligned, and here comes the last one. Same thing, 2.1. Now, this size is going to depend on how much outer space you want on there, but 2.1 is the smallest you can go. You can't, as far as I know, you can't go any smaller than that, and you really don't need to, and you'll see when they print out. Go ahead and center those, group them. There I've got these pieces ready to go. So they're each in a group, and I'm going to select the groups, and I'm going to click attach on each one of the groups so that the colors stay the way they're supposed to stay. Now I'm going to grab the big one. This is the shadow layer. I'm going to bring this in, move it over here so I can see it, and ungroup. And again, I'm going to get rid of the first half. Don't need it. Just you duplicate them once you have them set the way you want. Now these ones, now that I've got them ungrouped, I can individually do them, and you're going to do 2.2, 2.3, whatever, whatever suits you. So let's see what that's going to look like. We'll send this one to the back. Then we'll add this one on here. We'll go ahead and center them, and I'm not going to cut it. I'm just seeing if I like how it looks. So I'm going to align and center. And yeah, I like the way that shadow layer looks, so I'm good with the size at 2.2. So I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to size that to 2.2, and the next one, 2.2. Now this is going to be your color layer. This won't be a foil layer, so you don't need to do anything else with these. You don't need to attach them, nothing. These are going to be cut files. So I've got all of them cut to where I need. Now I need to convert each one of these through the file type to the standard print then cut for the operation. They're all converted. And that one was not grouped. Now I need to group it and click it to change it to a standard print then cut, but there's more you need to do to it. So because If you just tried to do them like this, and I'm going to duplicate this, by the way, because I want 2 copies. So I just selected all of them and duplicated them. And again, it doesn't matter how you arrange these guys on here, they're going to arrange on the mat the way they want to. So I'm going to now select each one of these, and I need to flatten. So the reason you flatten, because if you don't, it's going to try and cut that out of the other piece, and it's just too small. It makes a mess. So just flatten each one of those layers. But you want to attach them before you flatten them, or they'll just turn into one big blob. So some of these I had already flattened, and I forgot to tell you to flatten them, so I came back. So what we want to do next is, once we've got everything flattened, is I want to go ahead and make it. So it's going to sort the mats, and this is going to be my print and cut file. I'm going to click continue, and I'm going to click send to printer. And I only have one printer, so I selected my printer, and turn off add bleed. You don't want the bleed. Okay, and it's going to print the file out. So, and it doesn't take, it's got to, first it's got to scan it, so it goes through and scans it, or you print it. Let me get myself straight here. You print the file, okay, and then you're going to attach it to your Cricut mat. And boy, don't do black paper on a mat. It wrecks it. It doesn't matter because it's the back side. And my mat is kind of old. I lost some grip, and I prefer it that way because if it's too grippy, it rips my paper. So I do like to put just a little bit of tape on the edges to make sure that it doesn't come up in my machine. So now I've got to choose my paper, and for this one I'm going to choose heavy cardstock. And the reason for that, this is Hammermill, and it's a little bit over 80 pounds. And just checking my blade here, and then I'm just going to press the button on my Cricut machine, the up and down arrow button, to load my mat, and then I'm going to press go, and what it'll do is it'll scan the picture to make sure that it gets everything even. And if you need to, you can calibrate your Cricut machine. I have just recently done that. So once it's done scanning, then it'll start the cut process. So again, I think I'm using Hammermill 100-pound cardstock for this. I would defer to Nancy for what kind of cardstock to use if you're going to foil these. I'm not going to be foiling these, so I could have actually made them any color I wanted. But I made them black for the video purpose. So once it's done scanning, it'll start cutting. And it doesn't take very long because the cuts aren't terribly intricate. But because I chose 100-pound, 100-pound cardstock, it repeats the cut 3 times. So I have to wait for it to cut all that out. Okay, so we've got 100% cut. We're going to unload the material. And that's just pressing the button on the Cricut. Now, if it hasn't cut, do not unload. Just press the Cricut button again, or the C button, or the go button. In my case, I didn't need to do that. They cut out just perfectly fine. And here they are cut. So I'm just going to remove them from my mat, because the next thing that's going to cut, obviously, is the color layer, or the shadow layer. So I'm just going to pluck these out of here. And there's a couple spots that really didn't cut that well. In hindsight, I probably could have done a second cut. But they're fine. They don't, get jagged edges or anything on them. I just have to kind of wiggle them out of their space there. So next thing I'm going to be using is this gold paper. And this is from Sizzix. It's part of one of their gold opulence pack. And I remembered that the way that they're laid out on the in Cricut Design Space, they go lengthwise. So I'm going to turn the paper lengthwise, and this paper is just about 8 by 11.5. And I am going to tape this down pretty well. I'm going to try and recycle a piece of tape, and it works out fine. because I don't want it lifting on me and getting caught up in my machine and stuff. But you don't have to do this step if you have a good sticky mat. You just, if you're good sticky mat, you just have to be a little bit careful with it. And I must have walked away here because there's nothing going on. Oh yeah, I'm trying to fight to get the piece of tape off of the tape roll. Yeah, that's a whole nother battle. This is duct tape or something like, not duct tape, but duck brand tape. So I've loaded that into my mat. But before I do anything more, I'm going to edit this file because I want to move some of these around. So you're going to just mouse over and click edit and it'll pull up the mat. Because I put tape on it, I don't want it cutting into my tape. So I'm just kind of scooting things down and around. And you can do this in Cricut Design Space. But I want to make sure that I get good cuts and make the best use of my paper. I don't like to waste a bunch of paper either because I can use the leftovers for other cuts or, you know, embellishments or whatever I'm doing. So I'm just moving these around so that they are, you know, nice, in a nice row best I can. But they don't go beyond, you know, the size of my paper. And there we go. I'll just click done. Then I loaded my mat and I'm going to change my material from heavy cardstock to medium cardstock because this is not a heavy cardstock. And I don't need it to cut 3 times. It's going to cut just fine the first time. So I loaded my mat and I've already got my fine point blade in my Cricut. And now I'm going to press the Cricut button and it'll prepare and it'll start to cut. So when this is cutting, after it's been completed with its cutting, I did notice that there were some spots that didn't cut out. So you want to check it before you unload your mat. And, you know, if you're checking it, just be careful not to wiggle your mat. And then if it's not cut fully, just press this Cricut button again or the go button again, and it'll cut around in the exact same spot and cut them out perfectly. And here they are all cut out. So I'm just going to go ahead and unload them from my Cricut mat. I'm going to carefully pull off my tape, hoping it doesn't stick to my paper, and it didn't because that paper has just a wee bit of some sort of coating on it. Now this is not the part you would foil. This is your shadow layer. They cut beautifully. Sometime I'll have to show you how to fancy them up to, you know, when you die cut something, you get a nice little curved edge, and these come out kind of flat. So, you know, I like to, sometimes I'll take a little tool and go around the edge, but you have to be really careful. But anyway, there they are. Let me go ahead and get the other pieces here. And these are the pieces that you would go ahead and foil at this point if you had printed them out on a laser printer. Again, I will have to defer to Nancy Stamps for all of her tons of foiling videos, and I will link her YouTube channel below. Anything you ever wanted to know about foiling is right there for you. So I've got all my sentiments. Now I just kind of got to match them up with their shadow layers. See, if you had the stamp, you could cut these out, and at some point I'll make you a video on how I make some of my really complex masks by scanning my stamp. And all you're going to do is just, after you've foiled them, is just glue them on here. I sure hope that this video was helpful for you. Just, you know, there's multiple ways. Some people have a silhouette, some people have a Cricut, some people have a scan and cut. Cricut is what I have, and so my assignment was to do this video for a Cricut, and my Cricut is an Explore Air 2. I am a Design Space member. I do pay a membership. I just want to make that disclaimer. I couldn't answer for you if this could happen in the free version, and it feels like that one doesn't go. I probably got it upside down. They do fit. They all fit perfectly. Thank you for watching, and thanks for your thumbs up that you're going to give me, and thanks for your subscriptions. I really appreciate all of you. Here's our beautiful little sentiment. Thank you to Kitchen Sink Stamps and Nancy Stamps and Foiling Snobs Club. Make sure to come visit us. Have an awesome day.